Peace, everybody. It's your man, Uncle D, coming to you one more time. This is the Brick City Monk, and as opposed to having a conversation with a friend beforehand, I decided to have it now. Interesting, I hope, to you. An idea that came to me, I was wondering, actually, it's more of a question than anything. How do we have pride in things that we have no hand in?
Meaning.
We have pride in being black. People have pride in being gay. People have pride in football teams. People have pride in nationalities. You had no hand in that. We have no hand in those things. So I've always wondered how that sense of pride is derived by something. To me, pride is something that you derive. It's a sense that you derive from something that you do. I can have pride in my accomplishments. I can have pride in the way that I keep my house, I raise my family, I do my job, and what type of person that I am. But to have pride in things that we had no hand in, actually, if you think about it, is the exact same thing that racists do when they put up statues of people who were racist in our history, and they want to keep them up when they have the Confederate flag. They have pride in that flag, even though that was a war that they had no hand in. And the only reason that they really have pride in it is because they were born in the South or something.
Yeah.
Or the ideation came from their forebearers. Their fathers, their uncles, they were raised in family with Nazis or skinheads or the KKK, whatever. But that's where that ideology comes from. Having pride in something that you had no hand in, to me, is an odd thing. We have pride in, some people have pride in being male or female. Something that is an accident of your birth. People have pride in their looks. And not the looks that you maintain, but the looks that they actually were born with. Something, again, they had no hand in. Their parents are the people who should have the pride in that. But actually, you didn't pick the exact genes that created the kid, so you can't even have pride in that. What is it that makes us think that we need to have pride in something that we had no hand in? What is it that makes us think that we need to occupy our time, use our energy, have our focus on something that is so outside of us and so abstract that we can't touch it, we can't sense it? It's something that we agree upon. That's what it is. It's something that we agree upon. People have pride in, let's say, your country, where you come from. If you come from, let's say, Liberia, you might have Liberian pride, but you have Liberian pride only because you were born in Liberia. If you were born in Austria, you having Liberian pride would be a weird thing. But it's something that you had no hand in. You didn't create the country. You didn't create any of the policy. You had actually no hand in any of that. You were just born there. What is that? I'm curious to know what it is that keeps us locked onto something that is so outside of ourselves and so abstract that we will actually fight other people for it. There are countries that fight other countries over the pride of their country. Go to a soccer match, particularly in a South American country, but go to a soccer match and you see the pride that these people have in these teams that they have no hand in. They might have pride in, let's say, the team from Brazil, but it's the people from Brazil who have pride in Brazil for the most part. Or maybe if Brazil has a good team, maybe somebody from another country might say that they're proud of the Brazilian team, but because of the work that the Brazilian team is doing, not for anything that you did. What is that? Why do we need to take or join that energy? Why do we need to take? Is it that we're taking part of the what is the word? Is it that we're taking part of the I'm stuck, which is odd, right? Credit. That's the word I'm looking for. Is it like we're taking part of the credit for it? Why do we need to do that? Where does that come from? We are locked in ideations that and systems of ideas that we have no idea where they come from, and we practice them wantonly. We practice them in severe ways. We practice them on other people. We make other people's lives, we infringe on other people's lives based on our pride. And other people's pride, we have a problem with. Now, this is something that I do, and it's something that I do to make myself a better person. Online, in social media, there's something that I do. I join groups where I know that they don't like, I don't want to say that they don't like black people, but that they're mostly white groups and they have white ideation. I'll say that. A lot of the people there have really, really right-wing ideation. And I read these comments that these people make so that I get less offended when I hear them. So that it's less of a punch when you throw it at me. When they call you a spear chucker, or they ask you, why do all black fathers abandon their families? Because these are comments that I read just today. In fact, less than 2 hours.
Spear chucker.
Oh, that's something I threw in. But the part about the fathers, the part about the fathers not tending to their families, that was an actual question. Because there was a post online for white people. It said, ask black people a question that you really want to ask. And one of the questions is, why do black fathers abandon their families? There was a bunch of things like that. Whatever stereotype, you pick a stereotype. But it's all because these people have pride in something that is an accident of their birth. They have white pride because they're white people who were born into a white family, probably in a white neighborhood, in a white society, ad infinitum. And they grew up with all these white ideas. So when they see ideas that are outside of what is comfortable for them, outside of what they grew up with, they attack it immediately. But we do the same thing. We do the exact same thing. But I don't think this ideation came from us. It's just something that we perpetuate in our society. We join this brigade of having pride in something. For what? What exactly does that do? If you join an organization and you commit to the organization and you put your time and your labor into that organization, then you have pride in the organization, not because the organization is a black organization and it is doing things for black people. That has nothing to do with you. I think that's interesting that we still attach ourselves to things that are so abstract and outside of ourselves, and it takes up our time and it takes up our energy. It takes up our time and it takes up our energy. And I don't think we really think about how much energy we expend on things that are outside of us and abstract that we don't touch. Think about this real quick. All of the elections that we have, the ideation and the pride that people have, we elect these people based on their ideas and our ability to identify with the ideas that they're espousing. If it's a right-wing moralist Christian ideation, right-wing moralist Christians are going to identify. They're going to have pride, even though it's something abstract outside of them. And what kills me is the hypocrisy sometimes. It's the hypocrisy sometimes. What we do, we have these ideations and we push them and we espouse them, but we don't practice them. We don't practice them at all. We say that this is how society should be, but we go behind a closed door and we do something completely opposite. I was at an event last night and there was a guy, and this guy had a lot of energy. He's a man who was older than I am, and I'm an older guy. But he was a guy who was older than me, and he was, this was a dance event. So he was dancing, and he's a great dancer. So he, was out in the dance floor, and he commanded a lot of attention on the dance floor. And there was this one particular woman I was watching who was dancing, not with him, but kind of near him. And the guy went over to her to try to get her to dance with him. And I watched her like, She was like, And Turns out that the guy practices a certain religion, and the woman that he was approaching also practiced that religion, right? But what it was the conversation that I actually had about him with someone else. It turns out that the guy is like out there, like he in the streets, like anybody he can get, he gonna get him. He is not playing. Whatever he thought he missed, he is making up for lost time. He is in it. And at the end of the conversation that I was having, the person said, and he's supposed to be practicing this religion. Yeah, let me let that hang in the air real quick. Because why do we need to practice that? Like, what is the need to practice that something that you actually find uncomfortable outside the things that you actually want to do? It's not even something that's not even how you want to live your life. But you're going to hold on to it as a banner for some reason. There's something about that makes you feel better as a person, even though it's not what you're doing, it's not what you're practicing, it's not how you live your life, but you will tell people that that's who you are. Which leads me into the next part of what I need to talk about, is how we as human beings are the only creatures on this planet who do not and will not refuse to be who we are. We put on costumes every single day to be something that we are not. And most of us have no idea who we are in the first place. What am I talking about? What is he talking about? What's he talking about? You get up, you put on whatever your corporate or semi-corporate dress is. You go to your job. You perform all day. You put on a persona. And you perform basically with your uniform on, with your costume. You put that on and you go and you perform all day. And then your children come home. And then you put on act 2. You're another character. And then your spouse comes home. Act 3. You are a whole new person. Your best friend calls. Act 4. You a whole different. You don't even recognize yourself no more. You don't even recognize yourself no more. Human beings are the only ones who do that. We are the only ones who think that we have to be something other than who the fuck we are to get something. The manipulation of it is what bothers me. Because we don't realize how manipulative we are taught to be in order to maneuver through life. You can't be what you want to be and live this life. People aren't going to let you. It makes other people uncomfortable that you be you. If you bask in your authenticity, people will hate you. There will be some people who love you, and those will be the people who are basking in their authenticity. But the majority of people, 80% of the people you encounter are going to hate the fact that you are authentic. Authenticity is not something that human beings practice for some weird reason. I don't know why it is that we do not practice that. You are a policeman. You are a teacher. You are a secretary. If somebody asks you, who are you? What do you tell them? Outside of you identifying your relationship to other people or your job, who are you? Outside of being a mother, outside of being a sister, outside of being an auntie, outside of being a wife, outside of being a husband, outside of being a brother, outside of being an uncle and aunt, outside of being grandparents, who are you? Not your job, not your relationships. Who are you? Without those things, who are you? I think that the human being, and this is, I forgot to say this at the beginning. Usually I'm going to say something. This is the part where I say some stuff that you really don't like. Human beings refuse to be human beings because we know how deplorable we are. You can watch any podcast of relationships and you can hear the banter back and forth. Men arguing about what women should do and women arguing about what men should do and trying to find out how to make a man do this and how to make a man do that and how to get her to submit to me the way that a woman should submit and all these bullshit things. that keep you focused outside of yourself, right? All these things keep you focused outside of yourself because if you focused on you, none of those things that you're asking would matter. See, we forget that you being you will attract you. Simple, easy equation. You being you will attract you, but also you being you will attract you. Why did I say it twice? Because whatever it is the fuck you're doing is what you are going to attract. Not what you think you think. Because a lot of us think we think things, and those we think that those things are who we are. Those things aren't necessarily who you are. It's the energy behind that. It's your secret thoughts. Like Kathy Bates said in The Family That Prays, it's your private thoughts that give me pause. Yeah. It's going to be your private thoughts. How you really feel about you is what's going to attract another you. That's why the man isn't doing the things that you want him to do. Because how you really feel about you attracted the exact thing that you deserve. Yeah, that's why you can't get her to submit to you. Because you haven't submitted to your damn self. You haven't stopped doing all the things that you know you need to do in order to be in a relationship with a woman. She told you what she wanted. You acted like you were going to give it to her. We refuse to be exactly what we are. And for every man that wants to sleep around, there's a woman that also wants to sleep around.
Maybe two.
Boom. Maybe two. For every man that likes only a female to penetrate him anally, there's a woman who likes to do that. You have to be honest with you. That's why you haven't gotten what you think you need. But we put on these costumes. We put on these costumes and we get pride about these costumes too. We have pride in these costumes that we put on. And now here we are, and you don't even remember that you are a human being. See, that's part of the reason that we can't deal with the human condition is because we deny the human condition. We're the exact things that we try to stop all the time. Because if we weren't those things, there would be no need to try to stop it. You'll get it one day. You have to recognize that there's going to be a percentage of the, and this is the part where y'all probably cancel this video or something. You have to be realistic about the fact that there's a certain percentage of the population that for some weird reason likes to diddle kids.
Like little kids?
Yeah. You have to deal with the fact that there's a certain percentage of the population who likes to do the things that Diddy did. They can't get excited until they are in that type of element. You have to realize that part of the human condition is doing the things that R. Kelly did that landed him in jail. You have to realize that part of the human condition is doing what that woman did when she drove her kids into the lake and killed them and then said that a black man carjacked her and went on the news and cried about it. You got to recognize that there's a percentage of us that are going to do horrible things. You have to recognize that. And you can't treat it after the fact. That's our problem. We treat it after the fact. As opposed to creating a society where that is something that isn't taught. It's not a thing to do. Because that could be. But that would take education. That's not something that they're going to give you. They would rather that you stay thinking about how much pride you have in the fact that you are in the state of Alabama. They would rather you sit and think about how much pride you have in being a Southerner They would rather you sit and think about how much pride you have in being black. They would rather you take a stance against somebody else on this planet who is in the same class as you, but just a different color, so that y'all hate each other, so that you never realize that they are stealing all the money.
Amen. Preach.
And to tell people this, you have to really pull back from society, and you have to look at it from a more global perspective to see all of this stuff happening, right? It gets very interesting. It also humbles you. It's very humbling to watch the world work in the, or not even the world, or this particular society work in the way that it has, work in the way that it does, because you realize that it's on purpose. You realize that we are miseducated and undereducated on purpose, so that we will always believe that the little amount of information we have is a great source of knowledge. The little amount of information we have about the world and the people in it is, we think that we know a lot. We think we have the answers. We think because we've gotten this far in life that whatever it is we have must be working. And we think we don't have to do work to get better. This is okay. I want to be comfortable. And they want you to be comfortable. They want you to be comfortable getting up, going to work, coming home. Getting up, going to work, coming home, dealing with your kids, putting them to school, send them to school, and then letting them come home and do homework. They're comfortable with that. They make you comfortable with that. They want you to seek comfort, which is the opposite of change. But back to the humans not wanting to be humans. We don't choose to deal in reality a lot of times with the fact that we are and can be terrible. We know that we can be terrible. We've seen the terrors that we have wreaked upon each other. I was just watching a documentary. For some reason, I've been into World War II documentaries lately. The things that Hitler did, that he told the world that he would do, that he wrote in Mein Kampf, My Struggle. He wrote it beforehand and told you what he was going to do, and then he took power in a coup, and they let him. The thing that we have to remember is he could not have done that if he didn't have the support of the German people. The whole of the German people believed that Jews needed to be killed. They were convinced. I'm not going to say he convinced them. They were convinced. Mostly amongst themselves. Because all you have to do is whisper the hatred into the society, and people will carry it. Without question is the problem. Without sitting down and talking to Jewish people, without sitting in the Jewish community and finding out how it works, the Germans agreed that the Jews needed to go. But not just the Jews. We always say the Jews. It was also black people they wanted gone. It was also gay people they wanted gone. They wanted gone anything that was not white, Anglo-Saxon, Protestant. We are in these United States looking at that same regime, that same type of regime coming into power in the next year, because we refuse to see humanity as humanity. We refuse to see humanity as humanity. We allow people to guide our vision and make us believe that because somebody has grown up in a different place or has a different skin color, dresses differently, speaks differently, that they are a threat to my well-being. We have lost our humanity in that. The fact that we call ourselves a civilized society wears me out. We look at, I saw a man on social media, I think it was yesterday. This man retired and he created a place for people, homeless people, to take a shower. He created he has a mobile, I think it's a bus or something he converted for homeless people to take showers. He created a place for them to wash their clothes, I believe, also. The idea came to me that that's a beautiful thing that the man did. In his retirement, he does this in his spare time for the homeless. It's not a charge thing. He's not making money from it. This is something that he decided to do. The problem that I have is not with the man. The problem that I have is that we have a society that creates a situation that's needed. We don't live in a society where we can't eradicate homelessness. We don't. We live in one where we could, but we also live in one where we choose not to. The efficacy of which takes money from the pockets of people who already have too much. So here we are. They keep us dumb and they get rich. I'm hoping that I'm making a correlation clear. I really do. I hope that it's not abstract and I'm making sense only in my mind. I'm hoping that this correlation is clear about how they keep us undereducated. They keep us fighting amongst each other with humanness. They keep us fighting each other with humanness. The things that we fight about are human things. They aren't things that we should be fighting about. Who has what where, and who can live where. Those aren't things we should be making sure that everybody has some place to live. We should be making sure that everybody is fed, everybody is clothed. That's what we should be doing. But that takes money out of the pockets of people. So we're not going to do that. What scares me, I was listening to a song by Janae Aiko on the way over here, 10,000 Hours. If you haven't heard it, check it out. I don't get paid to say that, by the way. There's a part in the song where she's saying, she's talking to her lover, and she's saying, the fact that you don't see how detrimental this is what worries me. That's what worries me. The fact that we don't see how detrimental this is. We allow the amount of information that has been given to us, spoon-fed, through social media, through the news, through whatever periodicals you intake. We have allowed these ideas to fester in our minds. There's another movie I think is very interesting. Get an opportunity to watch it. It's called Inception. And it's a long movie, so you have to settle in, you got to buckle down, and you can't watch your phone at the same time. This isn't one of those type of movies. You need to watch every second of this because you're going to miss something. But I'm going to sum it up and say, once an idea is put in your head, it can't be pulled back out.
Yes.
It cannot be pulled back. All they have to do is suggest. Once I suggest to you that purple plants have yellow spots, that idea is in your head. It can't be pulled out. You can forget it, but it's still in there. And they know that. They know all they have to do is get in your head. See, they catch us visually because they've given us these things that what you're watching now, these little screens here, right? And the other thing that they know, and you have to be mindful of this, is your ears are always open. Your ears are never shut.
Even when you sleep.
So all the things that you're listening to, from a variety of places, the ambient noise, the things that you're not even really consciously paying attention to, have an effect on your subconscious. It's all there. You take it all in. So they know that. They use that against us. And again, what scares me is that we don't even see how dire our situation is. It's terrifying. And we still choose to poke fun. And what kills me, usually the other reason, as I said earlier, one of the other reasons why I watch these groups and things and videos from people who I know don't like me, my skin tone, my whatever, pick anything about me and they hate it. Excuse me. One of the things that I get from looking at this is I get the understanding that these people aren't very educated at all. Even their insults aren't insults if you think about it. The comment about the black fathers, I had to do some research on that and found out that fathers stick around now more than ever, black and white, through most cultures. 30, 50 years ago, it was 20 to 30% less. Fathers weren't even in birthing rooms when kids were born 50 years ago. They were somewhere else. They were out smoking cigarettes and stuff.
Waiting to light up his cigar.
Right, at the bar or wherever. Fathers weren't around in
Later on
that
out, they had a
particular.
boy now.
Hey, then they really celebrated.
They bringing out the cohibas.
It's a whole thing. So, yeah, as I watch how the things that are happening in society happen, the things with the stars that get locked up, I've never seen this amount of performers be incarcerated in my entire life. Not major stars like this. It's insane. And what the thought that always comes to mind for me, again, in regard to ignoring humanity, how do we let these people get this far in society, get all these accolades, only to be brought down by something that they were doing and we knew it the whole time? We don't even ask ourselves that question enough for me. Why now? If they did something that they need to go to jail for, that's fine. Listen, send them. Why did we wait 30 years to do it? When we knew year one and could have probably prevented a whole lot of other victims from being victimized.
Some shit gonna come out about somebody else and they're gonna deflect the attention.
We as a society have to hold ourselves accountable for that, though. We ingest their music. We watch their shows. We applaud when we go to their concerts after we have paid hundreds of dollars for tickets. We cheer for them when they win awards against other people. All these things we do. All these things we do. And then the minute they are brought down, we cheer for that. Where's our responsibility in society? As a society, we should have, the first time we heard the rumors, the FBI should have been called, etc., ad infinitum, whatever it is that you have to do. I don't know the protocol. Whatever it is you have to do, that should have been done. Cassie wouldn't have gotten dragged in the hallway. There would have been several young ladies who were not knocked out on couches on Quaaludes. Baby oil would have made much less money. I don't know. I'm sorry. It just came to my head. But yeah.
He wanted to make sure his guest was not ash.
Is that what it is? He wanted to make sure everything slid in holes easy. That's all. That's what that baby oil was for. But dead ass. Like, why do we wait so long? And then cheer. To make ourselves feel better, we cheer. Because we knew all along. We heard the rumors. We watched the podcasts. We read the rags. We looked at the blogs online. We did all of that. Still bought their music. Still went to their concerts. Still cheered for them. And then here we are. Now we're cheering for the fact that he shouldn't have did that. You were at the concert. Front row. Sitting next to basketball players. Spending your rent money. All that we do. Humanity has a responsibility more than reaction. We could be proactive and educate each other. We could be proactive and get more information before we make decisions. We could be proactive and only concentrate on things that have to do with us. We could be proactive and realize that there are certain segments of humanity that we haven't dealt with in the proper way, and we need to begin to deal with them. The only way is through education, though. We have to educate everybody equally, though. It has to be an equal footing. All otherwise, you're going to create hierarchies of information, which is what we're dealing with now. Take the energy that you have in pride and put it into change. Put it into reformation. Put it into revolution. Take all that energy that you have for pride in something that you had no hand in and use it to affect change. The people who hate us are not playing right now. There's a guy on social media somewhere, I don't know, I'll be all over the place, who he has like maps. He says, these are maps that'll change your perspective of how you see the world. And he's absolutely right. So he showed a map, and it was a map of white people versus black people, or people of color in the world. It was a world map. And there are like 3 places in the world where white people, 1, 2, 3, yeah, 3 places in the world where white people are predominant. That's North America, Europe, and Australia, for the most part, not including like Greenland and Iceland and stuff like that. That's European countries. All of every place else is people of color. I don't know where you're watching this from, but in this country, they give us the feeling that, we obviously we are the minority, but not the way they think we are. So we have to begin to use that, is what I'm saying. And get rid of these notions of pride in things that you had no hand in. I know that's something I don't know if anybody else ever thinks about that, but the amount of energy, like I watch people who come to events and they have on their favorite team. They have pride in their favorite team. Something you have no hand in. You don't pick how they play. You ain't there at practice. You ain't there when they work out. You ain't running calls. You ain't running plays. You ain't doing none of that. But you have pride, which takes energy from you and gives it to them. You have pride in your country. Let's say you're here in the United States. All the energy you expend for that. There are people who, what was it? Right after this presidential election we just had, the very next day, I think it was a northeast city, I think it was Boston or something. There were a bunch of white men walking around, being Nazi-ish, doing that type of shit, because they had pride in themselves and where they come from. All of these things that were accidents of their birth, where they were born, what color their skin is, none of these things did they have a hand in, but they have pride in. I think that's weird. I think that's an idea that we can relinquish in this society. I think that time for pride in things that we have no hand in is over. What if you took all the energy that you had in that and invested it back in you? Where could you be? The amount of money that people spend on paraphernalia for things that they have pride in from their country, like there's the Latino, Hispanic, Puerto Rican, whichever day parade that they have over in New York. The amount of money that goes through New York City on that day, simply for pride, for something that none of these people had a hand in. You were born Puerto Rican because your parents were Puerto Rican, or you were born on the island of Puerto Rico. The gay pride. Mm-hmm. The gay pride parade. Did you have a choice in being gay? So how you got pride in it? What if you took that energy and invested it just back in you? Have pride in you. Become you. Like I said at the beginning of the video, without your relationship to other people in your job, who are you? Do you know? Have you taken the time to find out? I ain't gonna hold you. That's what I wanted to get out. And lastly, this last bit, because it's interesting how, so as I was preparing to do this particular video, I was scrolling social media last, just idly sitting here, and a post came up and it mentioned the fact that if you take pride in something, you have to also take the shame. Yeah, let that linger a minute, because that's something that we don't do enough. You want the glory, but you don't want the shame. Y'all from the South, you got pride in that. You got a Confederate flag up, but y'all lost the motherfucking war. You were wrong as fuck. The whole reason that you were down there were doing what you were doing, and the whole reason for the war was fucked up, and you know it. And you're mad because you lost. Shame. I was just watching what is that? The House of Dragons or something. No. The one that preceded it. The Game of Thrones, right? And when if you've watched this, you know exactly what scene I'm about to describe. When they got Cersei and they're walking her through because of her sins, and she's butt naked, and she has to walk all the way from that little church place with the high sparrow all the way back to her castle naked, while people are spitting on her, throwing shit at her, and there's a woman behind her going shame the whole time. Shame. You have to take the shame. You want to be a white nationalist? Take the shame. Take the shame of what the Nazis did. Take the shame. That's the part we forget. So when people want to espouse all this pride about something, one thing that'll make you feel better is to do your homework. Find out their shame. If you come across people online saying rude things about your culture or whatever about you, find out their shame, because they espouse those things with pride. Yeah, they espouse those things with pride. So find out their shame and give that back to them. Because behind all pride, there is shame of some sort. And on that, I'm going to just say this part, and for real, I'm going to get out of here. The other thing, and it is keeping with that same thing, it was a thought that occurred to me the other day, and I posted it online. Why do we have opinions about things that don't happen directly to us? No, hold up, wait. What I'm talking about is this. I'm male. I don't have a uterus at all. I don't. Sorry. So I don't have opinion about abortion. I don't care. I'm not going to use my energy to formulate one. I'm not going to do research to find out about abortion unless I'm doing a podcast about it. I don't give a shit about what happens during abortion. I think that people who are capable of pregnancy should decide that. I don't think it should be left to people who are not capable of being pregnant to decide what should happen with bodies that get pregnant. I think that's weird. Like the people who, boom, they won't let it happen. There's going to be no discussion about what to do with men's genitals on the floor of Congress. They won't. They just won't. And the people who have the discussions about drag queens coming to their schools and reading to kids, you are the people who have never had it happen. Most of you. You've never had drag queens come to read to you. They're very eloquent, many of them. You might actually want to sit and listen to a drag queen read, but you've never experienced that. You don't want transgenders in the bathroom, but many of you have never experienced transgender people. As much as we talk about it socially, in the news and the media, as much as we talk about transgender people, I don't think we remember that they're only from 1 to 3% of the population. From 1 to 3%. That means most people who have an opinion about that shit have never even encountered a person who is transgender. Why do you even have an opinion about it? We have pride in things, using our energy for pride, and then we have opinions about shit that we've never even experienced. Why? Why? I just want to know why. If you have an answer, if you think you can answer, I'm looking for an answer. You can email me, I'm real devious, at gmail.com, or you can comment under this video. But I'm curious as to if anybody can tell me why we form opinions about things that we have never encountered and won't. I'm Uncle Devious, Great City Monk. I'm about to get out of here. I love y'all. I'll see you next time right here.